Hello and welcome to my introduction to the Warhammer Underworlds statistics project for the second edition. And here my focus is on tournament organizers, league organizers, event organizers in general, and how they can contribute to the project. So first, some words on the project itself. So the idea here is to collect statistics on the game Warhammer Underworlds and make them publicly available in order to understand what is being played, what is successful, what are maybe rising stars. And this is a community-driven project, so in order to get those statistics, people need to submit their games. So it is not really automated in the sense of, gathering data from tournament organization sites like Shade Glass or Best Coast Pairings, but all games have to be submitted by community members like yourself. And of course, this is both an advantage and a disadvantage. But what I want to show here is the process of submitting games for your events, and maybe reduce your fear of doing so by showing that it's actually not that hard. So the main homepage of the project is on Path to Glory podcast.com, and here we have a menu for statistics second edition. If you click on it, the site pops up. And here you see all essential links for the project. So the most simple way of submitting games is to use this game submission form. And this is also suitable if you, as an individual, want to just submit your casual games, which is also totally fine for the project and very much appreciated. And if you click on that link, what you get is this form. And this is designed to submit individual matches, whether these are best of 1, best of 2, best of 3. You can just fill out all the boxes and hit submit. And you can also use this form for submitting event data. But there are some additional steps to take care of. So if we go back to the homepage, there's a document linked called event information. There. And here I lay out the whole process in written form. But I will go through this now in real time. So this video won't be updated that regularly, so it's always good to check the last update and go through it quickly. So first of all, when should you enter event data? So I think the most easy setup is to do this while the event takes place. So for example, before the event starts and in between rounds, because that way you're already organizing, you're already sorting through the scores, and it really won't take much time. If you do it afterwards, it's also fine, but then you have to sit down again. So the prerequisites, you should read the general FAQ on the project, which is also linked here. Also, we record Nemesis games only. And a Nemesis game has basically 2 data points: the warband that was played and the deck combination that was being played. And the goal is to record events where this information is available. I don't know, maybe you don't know the warband deck combinations of 1 to 3 players, and depending on the size of the event, that is fine. But in general, it is highly appreciated if you just have all the data. So these are the prerequisites. How do you enter the data? And this is basically the same for tournaments and leagues, which are the 2 most common event types. The maybe more easy to understand process is to use this submission form that I showed earlier, but this is also more time consuming. So you basically just use this form, game submission form, and fill out this form for every matchup of your tournament. So record each matchup individually. And the only thing that you have to consider here is the tags. So in the statistics, you see that under events and tags, I list the tournaments that are being recorded in the statistics. And we basically group the games of a tournament using a tag. So all game records of the event share this tag. So what you do when you submit your individual matches using this form, every time for each match, you add the tag. And you can make up the tag yourself. So you can just use yellow banana each time, written in the same way. There are some additional things you need to consider regarding the date. So For multi-day tournaments, you just use the first date of the tournament. For leagues, you use the date that is the first date of the round. So if a round takes 2 weeks, you just use the first Monday of the 2 weeks as the date. Then, if you look at the deck selection, for the first deck, you have this entry called unknown. You use this if you simply don't know what deck was being played. But again, this has to be the exception. So, and if you look to the second deck choice, we have unknown. Okay, so if you don't know the deck combination, you pick unknown twice. And if this was a Nemesis event, but a player decided to only play Rivals, you select the Rivals deck for the first deck, so for example, Blazing Assault, and then you pick Rivals as the second deck, not the same deck again. Okay. Yeah, you should also kind of keep track which matches you already entered, because you submit the form and you don't see the data again. I mean, you can look submissions and check what game you just entered. It will plop up here somewhere. I think it's better to just keep a spreadsheet or something, or a list. First match, second match, fourth match, round 1 done. I need to know about your event to probably enter it into the statistics. And for this, there's the event form here. This is also linked event submission form. And this is another form that you only use if you enter event data, not if you enter individual games. Yeah, and you just fill it out, and I have to add, this is only if you submit tournament games, because leagues are basically just treated like individual games. Also, I should have pointed this out before. For leagues, you also don't enter a tag. You basically treat leagues as individual games. They're not associated to an event. Yeah, so here, if you enter a tournament, you go through this list. You tell me the tag, so I can associate the games. And one thing to keep in mind, but the rest is pretty self-explanatory, I think, is the placement data. So the warband deck combinations of the first, second, and third place, which will enable me to distill like placement rankings of warbands and decks. Okay, so that is the first way of entering event data. And depending on how quick you are, you can punch out a form in like 20 to 30 seconds. Also, all drop-down support autocomplete, so you click and type in reg, and it already selects it without having to move the mouse cursor. Okay, so the second way of entering event data, this is less time intensive, it is quicker, but also more complex. So of course, you mean the form transforms, the form is being transformed into a spreadsheet, right? So it makes sense to just enter the data into a spreadsheet from the beginning. But you don't have editing privileges here, and of course I won't give them because people can just go crazy. So what I've done is I created a pre-formatted sheet that you can use to enter event data. And this is also linked here, event spreadsheet. So if you open this up, you get this. And you also don't have editing privileges. But what you can do and should do is you click on, this is called file in English, create a copy. You have to be logged into a Google account for doing this. If you really don't have any Google account, you can use download as Excel, and fill it out in Excel. Some features might not be supported, but it will still work. Okay, so we create an online copy. Oh. And now you have the same spreadsheet with editing privileges. So here are some instructions. Okay, and the first thing you need to fill out is the sheet players. And here you just enter the player name, the warband, and decks. So just to illustrate this, I will use data that I recorded for the World Championship using this form. Okay, so here are some players and warband deck combinations. I just paste them here. And as you can see, these drop-downs are also pre-formatted with all the available words and text, and you can also use autocomplete. So you type and the respective characteristic will pop up. Okay, so you first enter all players, warbands, and deck combinations that you know of. This, of course, applies mostly to tournaments. If you're entering a league, you might not be able to use this, as the warband deck combinations might change per round, depending on how your league is set up. But this is the workflow for tournaments. And what you then do is you basically enter each matchup separately again, and this is the same for tournaments and leagues. You have a way of tracking what data you already entered, so there's this sheet checklist, and here you can just use the check marks to track which matches you already input. The actual data entry happens in the sheet data. Okay, and this is basically a replication of the actual statistics spreadsheet that I will copy this data into. So the first thing to do is select the players, and again, this is more for tournaments. So you select player 1, and as you can see, this process is automated. So this dropdown takes the data from this sheet, and it also supports autocomplete. So if I type in Daniel, okay, I immediately get the 2 Daniels here. If you then confirm via hitting enter, the sheet will automatically pull the warband and deck combination of this player from the player's sheet. Again, for leagues with changing pairings, this will not work. So in that case, let me just delete this. You can just use the dropdown. Ignore this formula, just use the dropdown, and really takes a little bit more time. And then you move on to player 2. Again, type in something, and it automatically fills out this information. And then you basically only have to manually enter the actual outcomes. For example, this player won 2 games and lost 1 to Skylar. And you repeat this for each and every matchup of your tournament. Okay, then you adjust the date accordingly using the North American format. And you can also use this drag to copy function to just drag this date down. Okay, and here you can write the tag and also drag it down for all completed entries. But in the end, this isn't as important because there's one final step. Yeah. So after you recorded all the matchups, you hit File, Share for others, and then you create a link. And this link has to be a link with editing privileges. And you send me this link, okay? Because otherwise I won't get the data. And you can find my contact information linked here. Yeah, so this is me, Bonnie. And you send me this file, the link to a file, so I can copy paste all the data. If you are doing a tournament, you of course still have to fill out the event submission form, because otherwise the link to the event form is also linked here, and then you're done. And I did this for, I don't know, 550 World Championship games, and I think it took me 2.5 hours while having no idea about the actual matchups beforehand, without having been at the actual event. And I think if you just, at the start of your event, while you check in the players, fill out the player sheet, and in between rounds, quickly enter the results, this will be very quick to submit. And even after the tournament, I mean, once you fill out the player sheet, it's really quick. Like you can do one round in maybe 3 minutes, I would say. Yeah, so that's it. If you have any questions, just write me on Discord or via mail. Thanks.